Hi there. Today's Sunday, August 24th, 2025. Back at Largo Central Park, enjoying a beautiful morning. Humidity's pretty low. People are out having picnics. I saw a birthday party as I was walking over to this side of the park. And today what I wanted to do is I want to talk to you about a subject that my daughter recommended. And while we were doing this, we had a great time. We did it for 3 years, as a matter of fact. Back in about 2010, 2011, I was laid off from my career job and started looking for, obviously, something to replace it with. And, you know, there's not that many good paying jobs for a person 55, 56 years old. So unfortunately, I took what I could get, working outdoors, spraying people's lawns, and it was grueling in the North Georgia heat. Anyway, I started researching anything else I could do. And at the time we owned a pop-up camper, so I was always trying to modify it, you know, make things easier for us or better, or replace water heaters or whatever needed to be taken care of. And during all this research, I found this group. I don't know if you call it a company or not, but it's called Workampers News. And what these people did, they go around to all these campgrounds throughout the United States, and they try to find work, seasonal work, for people who travel the country in their RVs. And I thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. So I started looking into it more. Decided this job that I had wasn't going to work out much longer. Somehow convinced my wife that we needed to sell everything we owned, buy a fifth wheel RV and a pickup truck, and just travel the country working at campgrounds. Took a while, but I finally convinced her. She had one stipulation, and that was we at least wait until she retired, so we would at least have one steady income coming in throughout the year. So obviously I agreed, because we had a lot of things we needed to take care of before we even got to the point of hopping in the truck and pulling a camper down the highway. So we set out to have a yard sale every other weekend for a solid year. That's how drastic a downsizing we did in order to live a life on the highway. Basically what it amounts to is, you know, we had 30 years of accumulated stuff, and you can only put so much stuff in a 33-foot RV and a heavy-duty pickup truck. There are weight limits, and you have to stay within those to be safe. So we sold everything. Well, I mean, literally down to the bare walls of the house. And then finally, at the end, we put the house up for sale. Once we had a closing date on the house, I turned in my 2 weeks notice. So if we closed on a Thursday, my last day at work was going to be on Wednesday. So what few possessions that we had that we decided to keep, you know, some memories of our life, you know, living, and tools to work on things, we put into a storage unit. I quit my job. We closed on the house. We called the RV manufacturer and said, okay, we're coming in. We're going to put a down payment on this fifth wheel. Go ahead and start building it. So we went to the closing, put a big check in the bank. We found I'm going to say it's an efficiency hotel room that we could stay in until the RV was ready. We went and put a down payment on the RV. 10 days later, they called and said, come and get it. You're ready to go. So we took our last car and sold it to a dealership. We got in the truck. We went down to the RV dealer and gave him the final payment. And he said, okay, you're fifth wheel sitting right outside. Congratulations and safe travels. Now, up until that moment, I had never towed a fifth wheel camper in my life. So we pull around to the parking lot. I back up to the fifth wheel hitch, and the guys wave and say, "See you later." And I jump out and yell at them, "Hey, hang on a minute. One, I've never towed a fifth wheel. Two, I don't have the faintest idea how to hook this thing up." Talk about throwing caution to the wind. So they gave me a crash course on how to hook it up and how to raise the landing feet. My wife and I got in the cab of the truck and headed down the road, towing a 33-foot fifth wheel. And I have to tell you, it towed like it wasn't even behind us. That's how smooth this thing actually worked. You had to look in the mirror to make sure that it was still behind you. And we set up on our journey. Now, back to this Work Camper News group. We joined their organization, and you get a monthly magazine. And in that magazine, it has listed by state all the jobs that they have had campgrounds post that, hey, we're looking for workers. We decided we were going to head west to start off with, so we found a job in a little town called Waller, Texas. Waller, Texas is about 35 to 40 miles west of Houston. If you blink, you're going to miss it. But they had a Yogi Bear Jellystone campground. I don't know how many acres it was, but it was huge. And they hired us. So we set off, crossed Alabama, crossed Louisiana, into Texas. We got there obviously before our job started, so we had to get a few things done. We changed our residency to Texas. We had to go get a new driver's license. I had to register because I wasn't retirement age, so I had to get health insurance through Obamacare. And then we had to go to a town called Livingston and register with Work Camper News. And the reason you do that is because you give them, you change your address. So all your mail is going to go to Livingston, Texas. 129 Rainbow Drive, Livingston, Texas. That was our address. I can't believe I can remember that, but anyway. And then wherever you went in the United States, you could call them up every week or every 2 weeks or once a month or however often you wanted to get your mail and say, hey, this is where we're at. Go ahead and send my mail. So they would forward your mail to the campground you're working at, and you could pay your bills. Now, the thing about being a work camper is the season for camping in Texas was from March 1st through October 31st. And then November 1st, you were unemployed and you leave, you stay and rent a place, campsite. We chose to come back to Florida for 3 months to see our kids and grandkids and, you know, catch up with friends and family and do whatever we wanted to do because it was our downtime. But when you're a work camper, here's what happens. You make $8 an hour. I know people are going to turn it off and say, forget it, there's no way. $8 an hour, 40 hours a week. But in that contract that you sign, you're getting a free campsite, you're getting water, sewer, cable TV. They give you I don't want to say uniforms, they gave you campground t-shirts. And they gave each person $12 a week to do laundry. So we were getting $24 a week to do laundry for 2 people. Now, here's the funny part. Every Friday we'd go into the office to get our laundry money, and we get we get $24 in quarters. But you know, it is what it is, and it worked out. And obviously, we didn't spend $24 a week doing laundry. But as a work camper, you get 2 days off a week. You're not off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because that's the busy time for a work camper. So we had 2 days off during the week. I don't remember, it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it was. And you and your spouse are off the same days of the week, obviously. The one thing about work camping is you're going to work, but you get to travel and see the part of the state that you happen to be in. So that worked out well. We got to travel around Central Texas and North Central Texas. It was beautiful country. So anyway, my wife was hired to work in the campground store, selling everything that a camper could possibly want. And I was hired to do maintenance. There were cabins there also. And something was always getting broken because people just don't care. It's not their property. 2 days into the job, they asked me if I would be willing to start doing landscaping instead of maintenance. I said, sure, no problem. What does that consist of? The owner of the campground went and bought hundreds of flowers, and it was my job to put them in the ground, make the campground nice and beautiful, make sure everything is mulched, make sure everything is watered on a daily basis. And another responsibility, I was in charge of the miniature golf course. So every morning I'd get up, go out with a blower and blow off the indoor-outdoor carpet greens, you know, any leaves or debris or pine needles, what have you. Make sure the fountains were working properly, making sure the lights were working. The grass around the golf course was trimmed, weed-eated. Making sure there were enough golf balls and clubs and scorecards. So, you know, I'd go by the golf course, you know, 2 or 3 times a day and check on it. Everything was fine, you're done. So I did other things, but that was mainly what my job was as a first-year work camper. I maintained the landscaping of the park. My wife worked in the camp store. This particular campground, they put on a huge Halloween festival, I guess you could call it. And they really did it up. They spent a lot of money in building haunted houses and mazes and everything like that. And it all culminated on October 31st. The campground was packed. People come from miles around to experience this Halloween experience. So, and then the next day we were unemployed. We loaded up our camper, packed everything up, headed south to I-10 and then east to Florida. So this is only part one of our 3-year experience as far as work camping goes. I just wanted to touch base and get this started. I'll probably do part 2 tomorrow or the next day. But until then, folks, take good care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you later. See you.